Welcome to Nevermind the Furthermore. Wait a minute, this music isn't right, the scene isn't right. Hang on. That's more like it. And now it's time for the show for all creatives. Nevermind the Furthermore. Your source for conversation, inspiration, and fun. With your host, Nicholas Anthony Tockert. He's an artist, a writer, a swordsman, and a game designer. He knows how to use the sword and axe in historical battles without anybody getting hurt too much. He's also the Manatee Man, master of marketing. And he may even have a guest or two. One thing, though, to be certain. Just don't call him a cryptid. With that, it's about time for the show. So sit back, enjoy, and have some coffee and chat with us.
Good morning, Nevermornings. I'm your host with the most, Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tockert, coming at you over the airways on WNTF. Nevermind the Furthermore. Nevermind the Furthermore is proudly brought to you by our good friends over at the Independent Creators Network, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, musicians, creatives, computer support, and other great folks who are here to help you make sure that your dreams come true. If you are creative looking for a place where you can be represented, you don't have to worry about having the interference from whatever rocket-bound billionaire who wants to control society, just saying that they don't like your topic because of whatever reason, consider joining the indiecd.org. For a one-time fee, to not stutter, stammer, and goof myself up, a one-time fee of $40, you can have a web host that is safe. You'll be a part of a community and access to a secret social media network that will let you know when events are coming up, a community calendar you'll be able to access, and a place that's run by creators for creators. So sign up with the Indie CD today. Now, normally this is a part where I would start rattling off about how awesome my books are. And my books are considerably awesome. However, today is not a normal day. So instead of that, I'm going to jump straight to my accountability. My accountability is I did not just get, parts of me lobbed off by a falling pole arm that decided to go right through a closet door as I was trying to make my way to the bathroom before the show. This is a win. We had a couple social things that were really good that I really would, if it were any other day, I would be talking about. So Wednesday should have an interesting discussion during art time. But something much more important is going on. I'm not even going to run Joe's ad because I've been told not to. So what we're going to do is we have a guest. And that guest is a friend of the show, a friend of mine, and basically one of the most awesome creators out there, Mr. Mike Jimmy Lortia de Bruin. Now.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Happy time zone, everybody.
I love it. Okay. Now, some of you guys know about Life on Korra, and if you do, you should be spending your money already. If not, Mike Jimmy's, and I'm going to bring that up right away because I want to make sure that we are in the full on chill mode to try and get eyes on this. So every day that I do the show, sometimes more often than I should, I say like, share, and subscribe. Not for me, I like it, but for the great people I get to deal with. This is the show. If you're going to share a show around, this is one of those we need to show. So, Mike, do you want to talk about your stuff?
Yeah, no, let's go ahead. Well, let's start with myself. I am Mike Jimmy de Bruin, creator of Love Cora and CEO of Fairies and Hints, little publishing house from the Netherlands that I set up. We're running 6 series now. Been doing a little on the quiet side in 2023 because I had a sudden wife and baby thing going on.
I love when you get a sudden congratulations, you are now issued to your family. Enjoy.
Exactly. Like, here you go. So, yeah, I only did volume 1 last year. That was a great success on Laugh and Cora. And other than that, we have The Singular. We published Tall Tales, Thieves Quest, The Radiant Sight, Oswald Chronicles, and Bloodwing Angel Chronicles. Sorry, that's one that somehow always gets lost in my mind. And of course, Life on Cora. So
I can understand the Bloodwing Chronicles because it's a little I don't want to say it's the dark horse of the club, but it's a little subject matter different than the rest. So I can see why that one kind of files away differently.
Ironically, in Europe, it's not that big a deal.
Well, because in America, we're a little bit prudish in the strangest ways, and I appreciate it. But so what's new on this campaign? Because some of us have been, lusting after all things Life on Cora for a while now.
So this is our newest entry in the series, number 7, Life on Cora: The Bond, written by Kimberly Kovac, who has written Inner Talents as well. And I know a lot of people jumped into the series with Inner Talents because it was underwater. In this case, we're going above water, way up in the sky, with these birds called the Celestine. And they are, their feathers have a color coding depending on their personality.
Okay.
So the main character, Sevier, is a tricolored Celestine, which means that he is destined for great things. Well, in reality, he's just a bird that, has a lot of things going for him. And so his feathers show that. And he's mainly blue, which means that he has a beautiful voice. But the Celestine, because they are color-coded to emotion, they can go gray. And the Celestine are calling that the rage. So things like jealousy or just general sadness create the rage. It makes their feathers turn dull.
All right.
And so this story follows Sevier and his best friend Aethel as they grow up, where Aethel is the son of the leader and is destined to be the new leader, where Sevier gets, destined for great things. You're being told your entire life, but you're not getting anywhere because, you're seeing your best friend that you want to see succeed, actually succeed, while you're stuck back there and you're not entirely sure where to go with it. So, yeah, it's a lot deeper than you might expect from just seeing a couple of birds. Then again, Inner Talents was just as bad, just as awesome, honestly, with the Missias having their inner talent completely determine what life is like for you. So yeah, Kimberly has some very, very deep meanings in these tiny stories, like these awesome little adventures that I cannot praise enough. I love her work. I'm looking forward to the next one she's writing because Oh boy, it's going to be a two-parter. Don't get me started on that. But,
Oh,
yeah, no,
um,
it's been a blast working on this one as well, and I'm so glad that I'm finally able to present it.
I'm, oh God, I'm so moved by what everything I learn about life on Korra, because you've managed to create something that is incredibly rare in the comics like multiverse. A true all ages setting that is not, it is not too kiddie. It's actually all ages. It's not coded to say all ages, meaning little kids will enjoy it, but the parents or
Yeah.
adults will suffer through it. Quite to the contrary. Every title that I've seen heavily has been rooted in dramatically serious material. I mean, Tiny Travels has the whole arc of aging and how to deal with that. And these are really serious and important things to discuss, and they're handled so masterfully. I do mean that.
I honestly, uh, I I'm giving all of that credit to my writers. I am not a writer.
Mhm.
I have aphantasia. That means that I do not have a visual uh, mind. Like
Okay.
if I close my eyes, there's nothing.
Okay.
I can't visual. Like if I ask most people, um, think about an apple. Close your eyes, visualize an apple.
Right.
And your head is gonna go. It's gonna be red or green. It's gonna be a little dirty from, falling to the ground or whatever. Like those are things that I'm planting in your head right now. And if you close your eyes, you could actually see that. I don't.
And see, it's so fascinating to me because I'm dyslexic. And one of the side effects to being dyslexic that people don't talk about is I automatically render everything in 3D. So
I don't render at all.
my mind works almost constantly like a CAD program. It's like I have Google
Mhm.
SketchUp running almost all the time, which gets weird when that it does that to concepts that aren't defined by shape. It starts to try to
Yeah.
render these things. So I do find that really neat, but I don't have an internal monologue.
Ah.
So it's that, but it's almost complete silence. Like
Mhm.
I have concepts and stuff. I'll sometimes have music, but I never have. And Nick was thinking this, and this was or hey, how do I want to do that? Unless I'm talking like out loud, there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
so it's really great to see people who have such dramatic metacognition being able to talk about that and go, wow, because it's such a different experience.
Oh yeah. No, because that's the thing. I have a very strong inner monologue.
Ah, okay.
Um. It, it can be detrimental
Right.
because you know being a creative, you have your issues. You
Right.
don't create out. You don't often create out of necessity. You generally create either out of spite or out of sadness, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
I am at a privilege where I can say I create out of necessity.
Right.
It's my outlet, it's my relaxation, but yeah, like it, um, there are inner monologues where I'm pretty bad towards myself, and I'm like, I don't have to be that. I don't want to be that, but it happens.
Right.
On the other hand, I can have huge conversations with myself, and not be bored at all. I usually, and be, before I met Luce and before every other relationship I've been in, uh, enduring as well, I used to go, I'm alone, but I'm never lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Meet my other 5 personalities. They're not actually personalities, but
Yeah, I understand.
because I'm I'm content just being alone, and I love being with other people. But yeah, like the inner monologue, it's really heavily because I will audibly think about what I'm putting down on paper rather
Right.
than be able to visualize in my head what I want to put down on paper. Makes being an artist very hard at first. It's
I
not
can see that.
recommended.
You're drawing from the radio shows. I get that.
No, and yeah, I am by now. I used to draw from reference a lot
See,
because
that's excellent, and that's one of those things that uh, I was brought up in the if you're drawing from reference, you're cheating, which is a
yeah,
horrible thing to tell somebody.
yeah,
And it's taken me years to be able to kind of crack that feeling, but I'm I find the process behind the making of comics and the making of the other things that you've done, because I adore hung on animation. Whenever I can watch it, I utterly delight in that program. It's just a scheduling thing where I usually have to catch it in rerun,
it
but
happens.
it's fascinating to sit and learn the processes behind things. And one thing I find great, especially about you, is your consistency.
I
Because
try.
no, I mean, I it might shock people that I spend a lot of time watching independent comic creators of different uh, genres and different approaches. And one thing, hello, Glenn. Uh,
Hi,
and
Glenn.
I'm not trying to neglect the chat, but you guys know my rules. When I have a guest on, they get the front and center, unless it's I see a serious question come up, or the man behind the curtain goes, Nick, you need to respond to this. But I see a lot of people who kind of they flashbang. They might do one project and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah,
Or
the the one comic, the one project curse.
yes.
And I'm gonna be honest, Life on Quarter was nearly one of those.
Really?
Yeah. So my ex and I made the first Life on Korra. Life on Korra
Mhm.
1 at the end of Ritual was made in 3 months' time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Yeah, I powerhoused through that. She had a story. We put down the rules of the world, and we went into it pretty much like Luce and I did for the 24-hour challenge.
Hmm.
So we're gonna draw, we're gonna draw, we're gonna draw, and we're gonna put in the lettering as we go.
Right.
We had the storyboard ready. We made a storyboard in 2 days and just hammered down on art. I hammered down on art. She couldn't draw, but
Right.
whatever. So that was made in 3 months, and it was a hit. I
Yeah.
legit. 2019 was a really big thing for us. Because I started going to conventions.
Hmm.
I essentially only had Love on Korra and Infinite Guardian there, and a couple of original pieces. And it took, I think, 4 conventions for someone to walk up to me with Love on Korra, a Team Ritual, and go, "When am I going to get more of this?" And that was November 2019.
Wow.
So that was a huge drive, and we had
What?
plans for part 2 ish.
Yeah.
That was created in 20, part 1 was created in late 2018, and 2019 was just very slow going. My ex essentially only made a template of scene by scene on what was going to be in the story. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit of credit for this one. It's not
Please.
my story.
Right.
It is, however, most of it around there. So I had to figure out the dialogue. I had to figure out how to paste this into 32 pages because I proved I had okay. As a creator, start small. Could do 22 pages. I had done 110 in Sage of Sunset already, which is a whole different ballpark. So I told myself I want the next one to be 32 pages.
Right.
32 pages is a lot of work for the first time. So that took over a year, like 1.5 years to get done with the major drive as my ex and I were breaking up to just get that done. You know, people want this.
Yes.
And then 2020, literally the convention that I was going to premiere Lortia II, so a Flying Tusker, was 1 week away, and then everything locked down thanks to COVID. Yeah, I felt pretty bad.
I imagine.
So that happened. But you know, I still was going, you know, I've got something here. You know, Love and Core has its place, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so once my ex finally left in July 2020, I moped for a couple of weeks and went, "You've been doing this all yourself for the last 1.5 years. What are you talking about? Get yourself back together and find a writer."
Right.
I found two.
The universe provides.
So Martin Fisher and Kimberly Kovac. And Martin sent us an email, sent me an email through Ferris and Ents.
Okay.
With, hey, I saw your advertisements on the Tapas forum, so tapas.io for webcomics.
Right.
And I would like to work for you. I have done Transformers. I am working for Lego Star Wars and Lego Batman in the United Kingdom. I have done several screenplays, and I would love to work in your world. And I literally returned to him going, "Are you sure you're at the right address?" And he was like, "No, it sounds like fun." I'm like, cool.
It's
so
because
yeah, that was incredible. I was looking at a colorist as well.
Yes.
So that's where I met Aristine. Well, I already knew Aristine.
Okay.
But she was she'd worked with my ex on a different comic, a small one shot. And so I knew her coloring, and it was essentially what I was looking for in Korra. I'm not a colorist, and I wanted to be able to spend more time on inking because that's my thing. So we did that. And I got like 25 entries or replies to the coloring job. And she was like, I don't know. And I was talking to her in DMs on Discord, and I was like, look, here's a trial page. You fill that in, and I'll tell you if you're hired. So a couple of days later, she came back with I should be able to find that actually.
Okay.
She came back with exactly what I was looking for in Life on Korra. Let me share that real quick.
Oh yeah. Let's see if we can get that.
There we go.
Okay.
And
oh wow.
The only thing that I said was everything is fine, just no brown there. the moment you take out the brown from this image, the
Right.
reds, the yellows, and the orange, because the Wall of Korra only has blue light, you're hired. So let's go to the final page
Sure.
of Life on Korra, and I like the final version that is actually in the book. Look. Oh, why is it? Oh, it's hold on.
I understand.
No, I did a window and I didn't do the extra screen. There we go. No, can you show it again? There we go. So this is the final version.
And I love the mix of Life on Korra's. It manages to feel intensely familiar. A lot of times it reminds you of the Bill Watterson backgrounds from Calvin and Hobbes, but if they were actually set on another world where it's this vibrant alien color that somehow still I can speak the English language, feels very very familiar and welcoming. It's like you're remembering a dream you had that you forgot you had till you looked at it. It's exquisite.
I am incredibly happy with Aaron's coloring, and I could not replicate that. I'm learning to through animation because I have to do everything myself, and I'm not going to ask her to animate all the backgrounds that I have to do.
Right.
But I'm still nowhere near her quality, and Life on Korra 7 is no exception. She makes absolutely gorgeous pages. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of them myself too.
Give me a second. Oh, that is exquisite.
So that is 16.5 by 22. Because I went overkill, and it's A2 instead of A3. This one is for sale on Fund My Comic, by the way.
Oh, see. Now, I know Fund My Comic doesn't get as much plug as Kickstarter does for a lot of the places.
Yeah.
But it really is worth it if you want to get some of the little the extra things. So what I can do is put the in just a second, it should bring the Fund My Comic thing up if it's going to work. No.
Did I?
Or not.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
We have two computers. This works. Oh, there
That
it is.
is beautiful. So what I will do is I will drop this. I'm just going to remove it at this point because it's misbehaving. And I will bring this up. Great minds. But Fund My Comic is an alternative if you don't want to deal with Kickstarter or Indiegogo. It does a very low platform fee, respectively. How do I put this? It's got a bit more niche audience, I think. But when you hit that niche right, you can do very well. It's that narrow band targeting kind of thing. But you said you have some exclusives through FMC?
Yes. So Kickstarter doesn't allow you to have exactly the same campaign running at somewhere else. So you have to do some separate things. So first off, you can get a set of bookmarks that are not available on Kickstarter. However, you get one of these randomly for free if you back on Kickstarter. You can get the full set here.
Nice.
And secondly, there are 2 pages available here that are not available on Kickstarter, because of course you can't sell something twice, or I would have to ink them twice. And trust me, this big a page takes a long time. Once is enough.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you can get the Too Many Birds page, as I personally call it, for 200 euros. I think that's $225. And I'll slip in the book as well, of course, if we hit our goal, because we have a 750 goal here. We have a 1,000 euro goal on Kickstarter. And yeah, if you want to know how badly I use references, this page essentially is a one-on-one copy on just a Google search on Cliffside.
Gotcha.
And the thing is, you don't trace. You make it your own, and don't worry about too much about it. But like, if you want to use references, be my guest. By all means, you should.
Right.
Be smart about it. You know, what do I need to use and what don't? And as long as you keep that in mind, you can get pretty far. For once the cover is not available, I just derped and I didn't put it on. But yeah, no, like
I am actually, and it sounds funny, but I am genuinely shocked that someone like Disney or Netflix hasn't come knocking on your door for this IP. I'm genuinely shocked with quality and consistency. And I'm not saying that's something you would want. I'm not saying that that's something that would, but with the lust for and lack of new innovative IPs out there, I'm really surprised you haven't been just.
Well, the thing is, 1, I'm new. 2, I'm tiny.
True.
Because I haven't been lobbying for this. I'm just a creator looking to make comics. You know, the cartoon pilot, I could start lobbying, right?
Right.
That is something that I'm totally in for. And that's something that we can talk about in a bit as well, because you have a very big part in there. But yeah, like these are comics for the sake of comics.
Yes. And that's part of why I think it's what I love about Life on Korra. And I mean, from the bottom of my heart, is at no point do I hear it's X meets Y.
No.
You know, there's no I'm going to take 2 ideas, shuffle them together, and say, I want to make money on this. You know what I mean? It's you have won with grace and humility, acquired an incredible team that works at bare minimum from the outside, just like an amazing, well-oiled machine that is just creating these incredible works. You're doing it consistently. And the most I've ever heard you complain about something outside the system is either, 2020 happened, and that's almost verbatim, and then you just keep on, or had a pause because wife and kid happened, and then, keep on. There's never any excuses out of you. There's never any delays, and there's no ego. It's just incredible art from a literary sense and from a visual sense. And for somebody who adores, I see the art in the process of how you do things. I don't know if that makes sense, but it.
No, I get you. Hold on, let me pull up that page properly. Live in the background of a comic creator. Don't worry too much about the mess.
Oh,
my desk is worse.
Let's see.
I could not generate enough hypocrisy to speak on anyone's desk. But that.
So here we go. I can make it a little bigger still. There we go. This panel took twice as long as the average page for this series. For this issue, actually, because I started working in twice the size that I used to.
Right.
There we go. That is Sevier, and that is the big bad evil guy.
This is the kind of stuff I get absolutely lost in, because it has that quietly, and we use the term epic excessively, in modern English, especially in modern internet English, for lack of a better word for what it's become. But all your stories have the weight of, it's like, it feels like you're reading classic mythology for the weight that's kind of under the surface.
Well, that's the thing that we want with Korra. Like, okay. That's the thing that I intend with Korra. So it's speculative biology. It is world building. It is thinking about how would this world where the niche of being sentient be filled up if there's no one sentient yet. So every single one of the creatures that we follow in Love and Korra are starting to fill up that sentient niche.
Right.
And yeah, like, even of old, you would have your tribes telling stories and legends of what those animals out way back where would tell at their own fires,
Right.
Like, what kind of legends would they be saying? And a lot of Korra is about those legends, and especially this one. Yeah, I love the legend in the first couple of pages. It is so powerful, and it's such a drive for the main characters in the rest of the book. It's only a 32-page story when it comes down to it.
Right. But
Kimberly put me to work.
That's another thing about Life on Korra compared to so many comics that I read. One, it feels more like a graphic novel than a comic to me, because by my definition, and this is pure Nickisms, the amount of synergy between the art and the text, both pieces tell the story, both require the other. Nothing ever feels wasted. Nothing feels there is not a pixel of filler in anything I've seen you do, and it's so refreshing.
The thing is, why would I use filler? I only have this much space,
right?
And I want to make these stories are jam-packed with info and world building, and I go back and forth with my writers a lot. So I do the editing. Generally, the thing that I have to pull back Martin on is no magic, Martin. That is literally in the world. I can literally show you world workings, right? These are the rules of Korra. We start with pure science fiction. No magic, comma, Martin. For a good reason. Okay, hive mind sentient rock people. I had to work around a lot.
Yes.
But yeah. So we have Drus. That is the main continent that we've seen so far, except for Fruit and the Building Blossoms, which is available in English, printed on this campaign as well, for the people that wanted it printed for the Volume 1 campaign. Then we have Chrysalis, which is coming up by Kimberly. And then we have I, Claude, which is coming up on the next one by Martin. And then Bawomia, which is by Luce, who is snoozing away. So, yeah, there's some basic world building. But the thing is, with these rules, I let them go and be free in my sandbox.
Right.
Like, as long as they keep to this, they're fine.
Right.
And other than that, I have to work around them and be like, okay, you want this creature that is a giant bug that doesn't eat, but it flies great distances. We're going to have to talk about this, Martin. Aquanids, from Tiny Travels. And I'm like, yes. Nearly yes.
Right.
And like, okay, they got 6 limbs. Why? What made this creature end up like this with that kind of body type?
Right.
And 6 limbs. What was the need for that? And work my way back. And it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be an awful lot of work. For Kimberly, my main problem is, on average, over a script, I get 20 panels that say, character's eye looked like blank. That works if you want to make one impact.
Mm-hmm.
You want to, across an entire story, you can do that once, maybe twice, if you're
Right.
lucky. Otherwise, that emotion of the panel isn't happening.
Right.
It loses its significance. But she's used to writing prose, and it works there.
Right.
It's not really something you want to rely on, but it works. And I'm not gonna put 20 panels of eyes scattered around.
Right.
Like it has significant impact in Inner Talents, for example. Let me pull it up. And here we go. Because the main character just got bullied. They're away from everyone else. They don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to be on their own. And you get the eye. Those 2 panels with the big shot give that emotion.
Right.
If I had done this 5 times over,
there'd be no impact.
No.
It's the when you have. I fall into this. I have a couple tropes that I would love to write about in every single story if I were, because they hit me like a sledgehammer. But I know I can't because they'll stop working after 1 or 2 applications. So I understand the allure of the eye shot, and
yeah,
I just for speculative evolution. A lot of life on Korra feels like it should have David Attenborough narrating.
And here we see a little aquanid on its way to a new place. We don't know where it's going, but if it dies on the way, another one is going to come and rip its wing off.
Yeah. But it's that strange mix of speculative biology that feels believable, and ironically, because your rules are so concise but so, if I said rigid, your boundaries are there. It feels very real. It feels very consistent, and yet parallel. It's incredibly human. it's that, I hate to say, Star Trek done right feeling, you know, where you're seeing something that's visually fantastic in again the classic meaning of the word, but so intimately human it almost it hurts. You know, what appropriate. It's that kind of beauty that wounds.
Oh, it's because they're character-driven stories. Like
Yes.
they're adventures a day in the life of. You're not um you're not looking at a documentary. You know,
Right.
the world is gonna build itself from the characters. The only thing that I had to put down were the ground rules going, okay, we want this, we want that, and we want such. And as long as you keep within that, like my writers aren't interested in um, their gigantic epics.
Right.
But
And
every Love and Korra feels epic.
yeah,
Because
it's funny because I find it's going to sound odd, but there's a parallel with, of all things, the Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. Because if you studied animation or anything and you looked into it, there is a little sheet with like 5 rules, and you can do whatever you want in a Roadrunner and Coyote cartoon, provided the only thing the Roadrunner can do is meet at the Coyote. Can't harm the Coyote. He must always be harmed by us. But when you have these very tight metacognition level rules of your universe, it really gives that foundation. And I find myself working around asking the questions that, as a creator, that I can ask you, especially in this format, me being totally greedy.
Totally go for it. That's what I'm here for.
You have,
I love this.
Because you could go on any program and see a shill show where here's their tiers, and they're great tiers.
Yeah, fill an hour, good luck, have fun.
Yeah. But of all the worlds I've watched, and I mean that, there are other ones that are close. I've never wanted to just like pick an avatar and like MMO wander, a world as much as life on Korra. Like my brain screams at me, why isn't this an MMO? Blizzard, why isn't this an MMO? Because it's just because you keep the scale controlled and manageable.
Yeah,
the threats become real. Nothing feels overblown or cosmic, or there's never a sense of whatever the condition is it going to happen? Oh yeah, they're here, they're going to blow up the world. No one blows up the world.
No.
We know it's not going to happen.
No, because if they do, then you're not going to have a next comic.
Right. But could a slightly demented face chameleon get eaten by a giant centipede thing? Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there is, for all its softness and beauty, you manage to maintain a quietly terrifying brutality when applicable. And throughout all this, I step back and I see this consistency. The quality is always on the level you set. The production is always on the level you set. And I want to talk about this because a lot of people come to my shows from the I'm a newbie, how do I get into this, that education side of things.
Yeah.
And you are just such I want to grab the book of Mike Jimmy and I want to say, read this. Well, so-and-so says so-and-so could levitate to another continent on the heat of their own ego. It's but with you, this is how to do it, and it's always scaled properly. And what I'm trying, it's a very complex question that I'm trying to ask, because in everything you do, and I mean, in the size of your comics, in the detail of the art that you do, in the scope of the writing, everything is masterfully scaled to work. I mean, there's just this. I define mastery as achieving peak efficiency and understanding of the basics. You know, and what I look at, and I mean everything you do, the way you fulfill, the way you do your tiers, the way your stories are written, everything is just so precisely balanced and scaled. How did you find that scale? How did you find that place?
Um, the thing is starting too big. And we actually have to cut back to the comic that started this, me creating a comic in the first place, Sage of Sunset. And I'll just go to Tapas.
Thank you.
And I will show you. Bloop. Come on. It's not going to do anything. Okay, then I'll look it up. Okay, I'm going to open Live on Quora because then I can find.
I understand.
My account. And here's Sage of Sunset. So I started Sage of Sunset in 2018. Well, 2017 technically, after a gigantic breakup, and someone giving me the prompt, an owl sage fighting a dragon. That's where this piece comes out.
Right.
So this is still one of the pieces I'm pretty proud of. Even the coloring.
Right.
This is one of the few digital coloring things that I did back then. And the rest is black and white, and it kept being in my head, so I made a continuation on a second piece, which is this one. And then you can see the quality drop because they're suddenly comic pages.
Right.
And I went into this going, I have a story I want to tell. I have an idea. And I'm going to just start. I had no idea where it was going to end. I knew that it was going to be Sage Owl fighting a dragon. And there was like 2 pages a week. I can do 2 pages, no problem. I can just get it worked out, go nice and quiet. And you can still see like the quality, it's my art.
No, it's. I find it fascinating because I can see where you've grown and matured, obviously, but what gets me is the cinematic nature of your camera angles. That hasn't changed. The pacing and the cinematography of the way it animates in my mind, because I almost do like the mental. I can feel the transitions when I see something that's laid out really well.
Thank you. Like these are literally my first pages ever. So that's a giant compliment, honestly.
It's fascinating to me because it's like the way you transition to the over the top shot. Beautiful. I'm never lost in your writing. I'm never lost. These are very dialogue dense pages, but your routing, it's so beautiful. The pathing of the way you write, the eye never loses where it's supposed to be. The only time my eye wanders is on the second viewing, where I will go through and I'll read something and I see the path where I'm supposed to go. And then when I look at the second one, my brain goes, okay, I've been here. Oh my God, look at these details. So it gives
This is not that detailed.
Your work.
Okay, let me pull it up. So
I'm saying that as a analysis of your work because I've had the privilege of seeing it for a few years now in different aspects.
Let's see. Sage to Sunset, finished. Export, chapter 1. No, wait, chapter 2. Because it's literally the first page of chapter 2. So this is just a freehand 1-point perspective.
Right.
And I came into comics being a background concept artist. Like, this is peanuts for me.
And because it's so familiar to you, this feels effortless to you because you've been doing that sort of background. But to somebody who's looking at it from the outside, it's so, again, wonderfully balanced. What the perspectives are wonderful. I sound like Glenn when he's talking about once you can do perspective, you don't need the tool to tell you how to do the perspective because you just can do it. And I'm an old mechanical drafting guy. Before I got the hand tremors, I used to be able to. This is a 39-degree angle. This is a 40-degree angle by sight. So I get caught up in the quality of the way your perspective works, and it's actually very comforting to me because I'm so used to seeing skewed perspective that's flawed and it pulling me out of stories, that even the simpler art of your early works, because I'm not as I hate to say, because I'm not as distracted by where your line work went, that I can see the base mechanics behind it better. It's just.
So this is an unfinished project that I did for the a webtoon competition that ended up not going anywhere.
Okay.
But yeah.
And
it starts as a children's book. It ends awful. I scarred people. And I'm not sorry. Let's see. Oh, I do have them like this. So yeah, like perspectives are my jam.
Right.
And this is actually with a tool. Like, I use my perspective tool when I need to.
Right.
But like this is very basic, a very basic 1-point perspective. Yeah, I used a tool here, like just in Clip Studio. But what it comes down to it, like, they're books.
Yes.
They're blocks. You get a line, you put them down, and then you break them up with books like this.
Right.
And that's where the perspective starts working. Because you break those little things apart. And when you freehand all this, you turn into there it is. When you freehand it, you add a little bit of detail, you add a little bit of black.
Right.
And suddenly, the books aren't straight anymore. They're rounded. There's, little breaks in the long lines of the closets. There's, the in-betweens. There's little grime on the floor. And suddenly it feels alive. Because, and like the left, like the walls don't have anything on them. They're straight lines. Your mind doesn't go there. They're following the logs that need attention. There's a little black corner there that's going to draw your eye in. And then you get pulled out again, and you walk down this hall.
Yes. And see, this is something I hope people who are watching this I'm taking from this. Like, this is one of those where I'm resisting pulling out the notepad and like this is a a good because a lot of times I will see your long shots like that cliff edge shot you did, and my brain translates that into like an RPG map encounter thing where either it's gridded and it my mind rotates it not 180 degrees, but it seems like it till I can look down and it has that feel where you can just reach in and pluck stuff, and I'm always drawn in such a comfortable way into your imagery. I don't read your stories. I really don't. I like walk around in them. It feels like being a little floating free cam, and it's just great.
Thank you.
Even here, because you've improved dramatically, you have a tremendous knack for projecting emotions with incredibly minimalistic, inhuman characters. And
I always got compliments for the owls. The humans, not so much, but the owls work.
Well, I think it's, and I don't mean to put this, don't take this the wrong way. So many people draw humans, and fairly well, that it's there's a lot to compare against. Very few people can draw avian, anthropomorphic avians very well. I mean, of the ones I know, I count you, Daphne Lage, someone who went by Cami Cheetah, who I've literally known forever and a day. But other than that, very few people can get avians to work.
It's honestly hard. Again, I have a cartoony style, and that works in my favor.
Yes.
Severe especially, like the Sage Owl from Life on Korra, from Sage of Sunset. Let me see. So he is very basic. He's got a round head, got a beak, and he's got 2 eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I started working with a brush for the first time. It's not really my job. I prefer these. But you got to learn in some way, so I did.
Well, and sometimes the best way to learn what you learn that you don't like and you're not good at is still as valuable as learning what you are good at or what does work for you. That's just
so. And this is one scene that a lot of people are looking forward to, and there should be comments already. Like, yeah, this is one of those where it's like you're literally up against your dragon, right? He's literally the last owl that lives, and he's like, so the last one actually comes out to meet me. Amusing, not going to hide. No, aren't you frightened, shivering with fear? Oh no, I'm terrified. Near breaking down, crying and falling to my knees. Beg my father to save me, but he's long gone thanks to you. But here I am facing you for whatever that's worth. So sarcastic.
Yeah.
This is a 42-year-old teenager.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so good.
And it's, like, I'm really proud of this story, and I want to restart working on it. I did do a rewrite for a potential first book on 48 pages. Hey chat, let me know if you'd like to see that. Also, let me
Tell him you'd like to see that, because that's literally something I was about to ask about right before he started talking about it. Because
let me.
I want to ask an interesting question. You want to do a redraw on this? You want to do a reboot, essentially. What, knowing what you know now, what about it would you want? Like, what draws you as I need to change that?
Filler.
Yeah,
there is, especially later, a lot of filler that and there's a lot of plot points that I just don't want to keep in there. So I think the first 80 pages got compressed to 48, and that would be a very nice graphic novel first book.
Right.
And it would probably be 2 or 3 parts like that. Whereas this is you can read this 110 pages for free, by the way, guys. I'm sorry to leave you at the cliffhanger that I did, where some gigantic rock giants explode from the ground. There we go. So we start with this. And I'm really proud of this one as well.
Yes.
This is one of my better negative space ones.
That has that iconic cover art, just the feel. And it's so neat because I'm looking at it and your line quality, because you have a lot more weight variance in your later stuff than you have here.
Oh yeah, well, this is digital as well.
It's just, it's so neat to see proto Mike Jimmy.
This is about the time that I finished La Foncora 1. And what I found is I don't do well on several projects at once. So
right,
that's why I quit. And La Foncora was self-contained. It felt, really great to just casually work on and just be done. Because that's the thing too. Like, if you go big, you don't get done very easily.
Right.
It's hard. It takes a lot of work to get done. And thank you, backer number 19. Holy crap, we just went over halfway. You guys rock.
Thank you, folks. See?
Also, Blooded Pieces, I did see you actually backed just now. Thank you, thank you as well. And Callie, thank you as well for the giant compliment on the Atomic Stories cover. Yes, it is just as good. Like, I am so proud of that one as well. That is one of my best pieces.
It really
recently.
Yeah, I know. I've had the privilege of getting to see a lot of the stuff that Kelly Austin has set up for her books a little bit ahead of time, and it's one of the great delights of what I get to do is when and this goes to everybody in the chat. You have no idea how much it delights me to open up a messenger and go, yeah, it's not going to be ready for a few weeks, but here's the rough draft of the cover, or here's, tell me, do you think this fight scene looks good? And I just kind of melt into, oh yeah. It's unbelievably incredible what you've been doing and what you are doing.
So,
and you are probably, again, between one or two other people, you are the most professional person I've seen at our level, at the level that we deal with.
Thank you.
You're one of those people where it's like, I consider a privilege both to know you and to see what you're doing and have you on my show. But I also see it as a tragedy because you really should be like at the level with what you're doing, where you're doing television interviews, talking, because the stuff, you are the perfect proof of quality does not always equal proportionate success.
No,
Because
often doesn't, and that's okay. Like I went into creating things firstly for me. Like I started comics on a heartbreak, literally, and every step that I've been taking when it comes to comics, and yeah, like I have 17 books published. You know, I'm not a small publishing house at this
no,
point
not at
anymore.
all.
But every step I've taken, and I really try to keep it that way, is to make sure that I do not lose the people that got me here.
Right.
And yeah, I lost my ex. On the other hand, she never like she. This is very sad to say, but like there is a project that we did where the Kickstarter failed. The writers fell out, the editors fell out, and halfway through the Kickstarter, I got told, fix it. While I was I was finishing up organizing a comic anthology. I'm not a prose editor. I already did decent editing on comics. Wasn't great at it. I'm considering myself a decent one at this point.
Right.
But I had to hold I had to suddenly hold that up, and in the end, it's not working. The world does not need this product.
Right.
We have been proven thrice the world does not need this product. And I had the reply that I got was, well, I'm paying, so it's happening. Last year, at the biggest the biggest and best festival for me, so I go to Castle Fest. I've been going for 10 years more. And last 2 times I have been selling. We put those books up for 20 euros or more. You get the book for free. That was the first book box I lost out of 5. Yeah. So that was a train wreck. So yeah, I am here because of some really, really amazing, great people. Love and Cora would not get this far without Kimberly, Martin, or Erisline. All the other series that I'm making are, by their wonderful creators. I have contracts with them that are 60-40 in their favor because they deserve all the respect and all the love that they can get.
Right.
The way I publish doesn't get into comic stores. The floppies that you guys are used to in the United States, we don't really get here unless they're weekly or monthly magazines. You can get in a supermarket. Getting into that market is hell. And I would have to print 10,000 copies every single time. 500 is enough. Thank you very much.
Right.
So, yeah, I would love to be bigger. I also know that if I get bigger, it may grow to my head, and I don't want that. Because I'm standing on the shoulders of amazing people, and that they deserve, just because I'm a face doesn't mean that they haven't done their work.
Right.
The only thing I'm doing is, putting it out there, and hopefully the world sees how awesome these people are. And I want to keep that going. And that meant that I have put a lot of money into Fairies, and let me tell you, I have not seen much of it back. Last year was financially awful. 2022 was even more awful. and it's not looking to be better. I only have Lavancora 7 colored halfway because I couldn't afford to pay Aristine more yet. Part of the Kickstarter is going to go there. And that's just how it is. And if I have to put in more money still, then I will. If I'm late because of that, then I'm late. You will get your updates, and I'm sorry. Like, I have my track record of being on time. I have my track record of being very professional about it, and I try to be as much as I can. But right now, yeah, Fairies and Ents is not looking that good, and that's just how it is. And it doesn't kill me to say it like that. It's not doing the greatest. I just hope that people are gonna keep backing it and enjoy the stories that they're gonna read, because I'm not quitting, guys. I had Luce go, well, why don't you go for full black and white? And I'm like, that's not what Lavancora is. And she's like, yeah, well, you started in color. And I'm like, yeah, well, people want that color. Like, the color adds to the story. It adds to the narrative. It's there for a reason. I love Through with black and white, and we're gonna keep it black and white. But these stories are with color in mind.
Right.
And I let Aristine do her magic in color because I know that she enhances every single panel that I make. I'm not gonna quit that. You guys deserve all the quality you can get, even if it means that I have to put in 1,600 euros every single time we publish a new thing. I don't care. This is great stuff.
It's funny because I've been on several different networks, and I've seen a lot of people talk about their products, and I've seen a lot of people talk about their business side of things. And the complete lack of ego, lack of excuse, total transparency, and willingness and understanding that to make this dream happen, it may cost for the long run, and even if it doesn't, the dream still matters. Like, I mean, listening to that, it is like, that's ocean potion, that salve on a sunburn to me. It's just so relieving to hear somebody who's trying to. You're worried about building the better story, the better product, building up the people who have helped and put you where it is, where you are, and just doing the right thing. And I think as the storms that are hitting the if I said the small luxuries right now, because worldwide there's some economic issues.
Not a few.
Yeah, the people like you are the ones who are going to weather it. Because I was literally, and I'm not going to name names because I was talking to someone who is in the middle of a panic because they're a small RPG supplement maker. Oh, well, you'll have to wait because I'm streaming. Oh. Okay, so you know how you can say your prayers yourself while I stream, bud. I'll come back and check on you. Okay. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. Family life. Don't worry.
But I want to get this out, and I'll lose it if I don't. When all the stuff goes wrong, and I told him, because he's like, I'm not making any money. I don't know how I'm going to do this. You may have to go 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then from 5 to midnight, you do this. We've all, that's just the necessity. How much you love what you do is how much you'll endure to suffer, because we hit a period in the game industry, much like in the comic industry, where there was a boom.
Yeah.
the Kickstarter crowdfunding bubble got huge, and I think it's basically popped. I think
Yes.
it's down to where the people who are in it for that, I'm going to make a comic and make $1 million and run off or whatever.
Yeah, no.
They know they won't. And the same thing is happening on the RPG front. Because when WotC went, nuts with OGL, everybody crawled out of the woodwork to put out their new games, and that flooded out what I was doing for Luke Stone. But it doesn't stop the process. And the people who understand sometimes the tide is with you, sometimes the tide is against you, but you don't stop your boat, are the ones who are going to make it. And like I said, that's what makes it so very comforting.
I'm not having a great time right now. Comic wise, I love the life that I got. Like I didn't know I had to dream of a family like this, but dear Lord, am I enjoying it.
Isn't it great?
It's the best. I love being a dad. I love my wife dearly. And yes, we should put them.
I'm sorry, I thought it was already in. Let me get back to it, and I will.
I can drop it at least. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Because I was trying to find the bit.ly. So what I think I'm going to do, actually, let me check real quick, is I'm going to take a moment and run the ad. I just had to find where it is, because that's the trailer 2 ad for Life on Korra, because we haven't run it yet. And then I've kept you for quite a while. I don't want to, dominate your day. So we'll give you a chance to take a break, because after an hour and a half or so, everybody needs a break. And we'll be back in about a minute 10, and we'll talk, maybe wrap up. We'll see. Okay, so
right.
enjoy the ad.
What up, lovelies? This is Mike Jimmy, CEO of Ferguson and the creator of Love and Korra, now back with our 7th issue in the series, The Bond. Love and Korra is a series of one-shots, building a world one story at a time. A couple of years ago, I imagined a world, and I told a couple of writers to go have fun in my sandbox. And so they did. Each adventure is unique and adds just a bit more to make this world feel more and more alive. They can be read separately and all contain a complete story. In our upcoming release, you follow Sevier and Aphil on their journey into maturity and find out if their friendship breaks down in rage or whether their bond is stronger than bad emotions. Now on Kickstarter and Fund My Comic.
All right.
Just in time.
Yeah, it's almost like we've done the streaming thing a few times. But I know Thesis wants to know what the time difference is over there. So
It is 5:30 p.m. nearly.
Okay, so we're getting close to probably your dinner time. Oh, and
Definitely.
as soon as I asked the question, because I saw it pop up, Glenn handles it. Thank you, Glenn. And thank you for the mention, Lowe's, and the borrowing of your lovely husband. I appreciate it. I know you guys are both incredibly busy with the whole parental and business thing. But it really has been an absolute delight having you on.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I want to remind you before anything else happens that you're always welcome to come back. I love picking your brain, and thank you for letting me, because I've kind of gotten to, just discuss a lot of the things that I don't normally get to ask people of, the process of how you do it, the background. It's been absolutely fascinating. From what I've seen, the chat has just been adoring it. So I hope everyone's going to get out here and pledge and pick up Life on Korra. This is just, it's one of those titles that's just important. I mean, from a schedule of looking at comics, and I really mean this, looking at graphic novels and comics as literature, I really feel that Life in Korra is important. And
Thank you.
what you represent is the gold standard in publishing and production of what comics and related things should be. It's mind blowing. And every time I hear more about your world, or the other titles that you do, and I find out, oh yeah, and Mike Jimmy also does this, and he does this. It blows my mind, and it reestablishes, a bar for which I could hope to eventually ascend, because your standards are impeccable and they're held in everything you do.
Thank you.
And I know, as somebody who's trying to make it, doing my own little humble efforts, I know how hard this economy can be, and how hard, as just being a dad, trying to do something like this, where there's always that outside influence going, maybe you should, just give it up, suit up, and, do a job you hate, take care of the family, etc. It
I mean,
takes,
yeah.
yeah, it takes a courage, and it takes a dedication and an understanding. Lowe's is a wonderful woman. I really
I
mean
agree.
that. You two are an incredible team, and seeing that, it's just so hopeful every time I deal with you, every time I see you on a show. And I know it'd be easy with the fear and the pressure to let that despair creep in, but I have absolute faith. I have this unshaking faith that there are certain things in this universe that are going to happen. And I'm not sure where you want to be. I'm not sure where you're going, but I know
Me
it's going
neither.
to be grand, and I know you're going to get to places you never imagined. And it's such a privilege to be, sitting on the ride, because this is one of those that has that smack of history to it.
Thank
And
you.
I think it's good for you, especially, and all of us who are creatives, because we're working towards the next deadline, guys. And this is for everybody. And all of us who are doing I have this project, I'm working on this project and this project. You spend so much time oriented, eyes on the ground in front of you, trying to make those steps. It's very easy to lose track of just how much ground you've covered. And you don't see your own growth until you can really pause and step back. So, uh, getting to see something like your early comics that showed the difference between talent and skill. You had the talent then of just the cinematic eye already that you had trained.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
it's so much better now that it just your products, your stories, your worlds, they feel like interactive media. It's not that I'm reading a comic. I read a lot of comics. Most of them involve, rather burly men and women wearing very tight, improbable amounts of spandex, punching each
Mhm.
other. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's a place for the capes and cowls crowd. But I read something like Life on Court, and it feels like I'm just gonna, blue skidoo, just like step right into it. And the immersion is so powerful. And I think because for you, the creating and creation is commonplace, you lose sight of the wonder that it is from the outside. And you have given me one of the single most delicious, delightful ironies I've ever had in studying any literature, any writing, vast career of random stuff. Yes, I like his work, and I'm not afraid to say it.
It's appreciated.
The first thing you said, there is no magic, Martin. And there's a part of me that I don't know anything other than what I've heard about Martin here, but I kind of
He's a great writer. Don't get me wrong.
No. I just
I
kind of
love
want
his
to
work.
hug the guy. It just instantly, because that's how I work. But there is no magic. It's like, this is the most magical title I've ever felt. Like of things I've brought up. And there is no magic. And it's just, the irony is it's palpable and digestible. It's just like, it's so good.
The thing is, like, there is literally no magic in Korra. Everything world building wise is like I can explain every little thing that you might ask. I might have to reach a little, but I try to make everything work. However, I can hear Aurora crying, and I'm going to relieve Luz, so I think this is the end for me.
No, absolutely. My own duties, parental and otherwise. So, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before I let you go?
If you want to see a new creature come to life, be sure to hit me up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern over on the Indie Comics Network for the monthly creature feature, where I draw the newest creature for Love on Korra, thanks to my patrons who decide for me.
That's wonderful. And when and where can people see your Hung On Animation show?
That is every Thursday at the Indie Comics Network as well, at 1 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Central European time. And this is the monthly creature feature. Let me drop that one in the chat as well. Bloop. And that is, it's just an hour of me doing a creature. So the one you're seeing right now was the first one that we did for March, and $5 patron, €5 patrons can vote on what is going to be the next creature. So I do one every single month, and that's every first Tuesday of the month here on the Indie Comics Network, or Thursdays 1 p.m. for Hung On Animation, where let me just pull it up. Bloop. I work on stuff like this, guys, where I still have to finish some wings, which I would have liked to do 2 weeks ago, but we had a crisis with a little girl, so I had to stop after 20 minutes. Because parent life is a thing.
And that is the joy, one of the joys of being your own boss, so to speak. You get to pick your own hours and make these choices, and I think that's wonderful. Well, folks, normally I'd run a big bulk of ads. I will say my friend Robin Yoda on Twitch has been rather ill. So if you can catch her Tuesday night streams and just chat with her for a chill gaming stream, hit her up. It's just a nice place to hang out and relax for a bit. So I wanted to put that out there. Mike, thank you so much for coming on.
Always a pleasure. I'm feeling a lot better after this 1.5 hours too, because I wasn't having too great a day before this. So we talked about that earlier, but
then I have certainly done my job. If I've done a little good in this world and brightened somebody's day, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, so the rest of you guys, I'll be back Wednesday for my humble little draw stream where we figure out what the thumbnails for next week will be. And I'm going to ask you guys to keep writing, keep drawing, keep creating, because as long as you do, you can edit it, you can improve it. but you can't edit a blank page. I love you, and you should too. And we'll see you all again very soon. Toodles, folks.